Hello and welcome to a new episode of my Flosstube. It's been a little while since the last episode. Quite a lot has happened. Quite a few things that weren't so nice and are still ongoing. And with that, of course, I'm talking about the Russian invasion in Ukraine. This has quite impacted a lot of people, and I have sort of been struggling with it myself, like many of you will. It's a really tough time, and it's a lot of uncertainty, and especially when you're looking from the outside in, you don't quite know what you should be doing in such a situation. I reached out to a good friend of mine who lives in Ukraine. She lives in Lviv, and I spoke to her about the situation, how she is doing. Things are looking quite scary. They spend a lot of nights in bomb shelters at the moment. But yes, she is, for the time being, she is safe, however safe that can be, of course. But I felt I wanted to do something, so I designed a little freebie pattern, and with it there is a link to a file where you can find lots of links to websites where you can help out as someone from abroad, whether that be financial support or in donating goods, things that the country really needs right now. So you can find that on my website. I'll put the link down below, and I'll put a link, even if you're not interested in the pattern, to the page that tells you where and how you can help. So yeah, that's been one of the things that has been really on my mind lately. I bought a new sampler it's exactly a week ago. Last Friday I was in the local kringloop. Now, kringloop is like a sort of charity shop type situation where people bring unwanted goods and they sell them. And I walked in, and there on some little rack type situation of some piece of furniture, I saw a little, quarter folded piece of fabric with some stitching on it, and my heart started skipping a beat, because I recognized it as it being a very old sampler. So I took out this piece of cloth, unfolded it, and the colors were so beautiful that I at first couldn't believe that the sampler actually said it was stitched in 1788. But closer inspection, it matches the materials. It's stitched in silks on what I think is wool. It's a nice material. It's not a super fine material. She's stitched mainly over two. There are a few tiny bits over one, and there are bits there where she goes sort of off the grid, so to speak. But I think you're probably more interested in me showing you this design than me talking about it. So this is the actual sampler, as you can see it here. It's sorry, I have a cat that keeps jumping on my lap, so if you hear weird noises and purring, that's probably it. So yeah, this is the sampler, and as you can see, the colors are absolutely stunning. It has a giant red deer here on this side, but what makes this sampler really interesting is that it was stitched at a period, or at the end of a period of lots of political upheaval in the Netherlands. The stadtholder William V had been kicked off his position a little bit before that, and he was forced to flee, but then in 1787 he was reinstated, and that was the end of the Patriot period as they know it, which was a period of roughly 7 years of a sort of revolutionary period, sort of close to a civil war in the Netherlands. But the girl here showed her alliance to the House of Orange by stitching a tree of orange here, or an orange tree. This is known as an oranjeboom, and the house that William belonged to, the stadtholder, was the House of Orange. The current king is still a family member of this same family. Here we see the Dutch maiden with a hat on a stick, which is representing the Dutch freedom. She stitched the Dutch lion here, and the Dutch lion is holding a bundle of arrows, and this represents the United Provinces of the Netherlands. And so this is quite a political statement where she said that we are actually for the stadtholder, William V, and they were supporting him. Now, it didn't end greatly for William V, as he had to flee the country, and he basically went to England. But his son later came back to the Netherlands. He was William VI, but he was crowned king William I, and he is the actual first monarch of the United Republic of the Netherlands. And he sort of suddenly it's the kingdom of the Netherlands. So the Netherlands is no longer the republic that it used to be before that time. So this is quite a fascinating sampler, and it's like a little snapshot of what's going on in history. The booklet that comes with this pattern, the PDF, has a lot of details with regards to all of the little things that we see here. I don't know where this sampler is from or who exactly stitched this one, except for LFB 1788 there are no hints to who this girl actually was, but it could be stitched in the northern Holland province, and it could be even stitched in the town of Hoorn, which was a harbour town. So we have a ship here, which is an indicator that it might be this area. There is a little man with a pipe here, which is sort of found on Frisian samplers, and this is an area in West Friesland. It's not part of the province of Friesland, but it's a different pocket in the Netherlands that's sometimes referred to as West Friesland. So it is possible that it is from that area. However, the man with the pipe does make an appearance on some Dutch samplers, but it is usually a Frisian one. They call him Simon in the Yellow Pants, but he is nearly always wearing blue pants, which is very strange. But you can see him here in his little light blue trousers. Yeah, I say pants, but UK and American pants and trousers are different things, as you probably will know by now. But the main reason that it might be Hoorn is the pears and the apples that you see here. They seem to be found on samplers from Hoorn, but again, I don't have enough resources right now to confirm that it really was stitched in Hoorn. So if you are an expert on Dutch samplers, do feel free to get in touch with me, as I'm really curious if you sort of agree with me that it might be a sampler from Hoorn, or at least from that locality. But it's a stunning sampler. I am extremely happy that I found it, and I have sewn it onto a non-acid linen that I put on a frame, and I put a little box frame around it, so now it's safe in my studio here. So I'm very happy with this one. So that's release number 1 that we have. The second release that I have is a small pincushion design, and this was based on a little day trip I made to Leiden a couple of weeks ago now, again, I think it is. And I found a unfinished sampler from likely Amsterdam. It has an Amsterdam sort of heraldic emblem on it. But I also found 2 really interesting small bits of embroidery. So one of them is a kind of a scarf type situation, which looks nearly Asian or Eastern European, and that's this one here, and that's just really beautiful. It's double-sided. The front is nearly as beautiful as the back, as you can see here, and that's just stunning, and I just love those beautiful flower pots. And I think this is a cypress tree, but I find that this cypress tree nearly looks from like sort of the Middle East. It has a sort of a Middle Eastern quality to it, but it's a stunning piece. I really love this, so I bought that one, and that's quite old. I do love the little bees as well. I think they are supposed to be bees that are flying around here, sort of pieces of metal that are sort of sewn into this piece, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. I love this one. And the other piece that I got was this one, and I think this is a cut-off of a similar scarf. It came from the same lot apparently, but I just love these vases. And what I find interesting as well about such vases is that they appear literally throughout the east and throughout the west. You see them on Mughal sort of buildings in Asia. You see them in the sort of European artworks, both in the east of Europe and in Western samplers. And they're always like a vase with very symmetrical, nice roses like this. And I love these, whether they are bees or butterflies, but it's a really, really sweet little piece. It has a lot of interesting stitches on it. I don't know if I will actually reproduce this one, but the pattern that I designed basically was called a FINCH on a vase, and it's sort of inspired by these little purchases I made. And I made a little vase, and within the vase there is a little birdie that you can see, and that's a new one in my shop. And yeah, I think it's quite a nice, sweet little project. It's not too big, so it shouldn't take too long, and you can stitch that up either framed, or you could choose to stitch it into a pincushion, and that's one of the new patterns in my pincushion section in my shop. The last new release that I have is the Groningen sampler that I showed you last Flosstube, and it is this one here. So this is ANJE BROEKEMA, and the fascinating thing about this sampler is that it is, to my knowledge, the latest dated Groningen sampler. So she stitched this one in 1892. Most likely she was already 19 years old when she stitched this. There are two likely candidates. One was younger and one was older, but because it is such a weird old-fashioned sampler for 1892, a younger girl would have probably stitched a red work sampler, but ANJE somehow stitched a black sampler. So it is not unlikely that she just did this while she was at home as a young adult woman, stitching something fun for herself, and sort of looking at antique examples from her family. So we see here a little couple. Those might represent her parents. There is a little heart here with two little birdies and a crown on it. That's also something that shows up in sort of a form a little bit like this on my stitch along for this year. But yes, there's lots of little trees of life, as you can see here. There's loads of them, beautiful vases with roses in them, and what is quite unique is that she stitched full alphabets. The letter J, as we can see here, is hardly ever stitched on samplers from Friesland and Groningen. There's only a couple of examples known where a girl actually stitched the letter J, and this is one of them. So it's unusual for the very reason that it's a very late sampler, and it's got the letter J on the sampler, which is quite a unique feature. So that's this new release, and I'm really excited about this one. Ellen, Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour, she has started this one. I think she is nearly finished, if she isn't finished yet actually. and it looks really good. And this sampler has some eyelets and some backstitching. There's no over one, I believe. No, there's no over one. Tiny bits of backstitching. The backstitching bits are literally like there's 4 tiny little squares here. There are the little, like a little eye thing here and a little eye thing there, and I think that's the only 3 sections with backstitching. And then there are the Algerian eyelets, or lazy eyelets as I call them, because they only have 8 stitches opposed to 16 stitches. So that's it's quite a quick one where you only have to do 2 diagonals like that, 2 diagonals like that, and then 2 horizontal and 2 vertical. And I know that vertical and horizontal are not like that. But yeah, that's ANJE BROEKEMA, and I think it's just a really charming sampler. What is quite interesting about this one and the first sampler I showed are that most likely both girls were not Catholic, but they both stitched a monstrance, which is seen here, and that is basically where the host is kept, on the altar in Catholic churches. And it's a very old symbol, and it keeps popping up on sampler, so it's something that gets copied and copied and copied. And I have a visitor here as well, and you can't see her, but I'll show her to you. Hi. This is Mira, and Mira is very shy, but she is also very cuddly, and she likes to sit with me in my studio when I work. So this is Mira. And she's like, can't you just put me down? I don't like this. Hi. Hi. I'll put her down, but she's a beautiful cat. We have 2 cats. This is Mira. The other one is called Neko, which is Japanese and means cat. And Neko and Mira were 2 stray cats that we got in when we were living in York in the UK. And they're both very little nervous, scared cats. I'll put you down, don't worry. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hi. And she jumps on my lap again, I think. Yeah, there she is again. But yeah, that's the new releases that I have for this episode. I'm quite excited about sharing them with you. I'm working very hard to get a couple of new releases out very soon as well. So I hope to do within 2 weeks a new episode actually, and talk about some new releases that I've got for you. But yeah, those are the 3 new ones that I have. All the links to those new releases are in the description box below as well. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is something that's really exciting actually. As you might know, I am quite obsessed with Scottish samplers. I collect them. I have quite a few in my collection, and there's something about Scottish samplers that's just very unique, and they're just very beautiful. And I was very fortunate to be in Edinburgh. Oh, no. She's sort of trying to bite the cables now. I was very fortunate to visit a amazing exhibition in Edinburgh at the National Museum of Scotland of Scottish schoolgirl samplers. And one of the books that I bought there was a title by Naomi Tarrant, and she has written this fantastic book called Remember Now Thy Creator, and that's Scottish girl samplers from 1700 to 1872, and it is honestly sort of the must-have book on Scottish samplers. I will show you a little bit from it. I mean, it is. I'll just take the dust jacket off actually, as that is gonna cause problems. But I mean, it's beautiful, like an embossed. I don't know if that catches up on the camera at all, but there's like a beautiful embossed logo on the cover. Stunning sort of pages there, and then it is beautifully illustrated, really richly illustrated. And this is honestly one of the most important books on Scottish samplers. If you want to do any research into these beautiful samplers, you kinda can't do without this book. Problem is, it's out of print, and secondhand copies tend to get very expensive. So you're probably wondering, well, thanks for that one. But the exciting thing is that it is now available for free as PDFs from the Sampler Guild. I got a really nice email from Linda Haddon some time ago where they were telling me that they are planning to release this as a digital release. And I said, like, well, that's really nice. And I thought she meant a purchase, but nope, it's completely free. You can find the link to that page in the description box below. So yeah, it is really spectacular. It's a fantastic book, and it's actually, for me, it's really handy as well, because I like to do research when I travel, and now with restrictions being lifted, it seems that we can travel a little bit more again, but it's not really fun to lug heavy books around. Like last a year when we went to India, I actually took this book with me, as I really like just doing my research and having my stuff with me. But it's heavy. But yeah, just putting this on a drive and on your laptop, it's just absolutely perfect. So yeah, I would say, what are you waiting for? Go to the link, download a copy for yourself. It's completely free. So it's a fantastic book to have, and it's a great resource, and it's very inspirational to leaf through that book. As for the stitch along, this month is quite close to last month's parts, and this is the only month except for there's one more month towards the end of the year. I think it's October, which also has a slight repeat from the previous month. However, that's why I didn't really want to talk too much about the stitch along in this episode. Next month will be unique patterns again, and then pretty much all of the coming months they will be very unique parts again. It's been really exciting to see everyone's progress on the stitch along for this year, and this is, by the way, the cat's tail that's sort of peeking up constantly here. It's been really exciting to sort of see all the progress that people are making, and the stories they're sharing with me about the samplers and the ways people stitch it, because originally it was a black sampler, but I've seen some very exciting color versions as well. So thank you all for participating, and I'll put a link as well if you're not yet joined in with the fun. Yes, you can find a link below here as well. I think that concludes this episode. Like I said, I will try and do a new episode in about 2 weeks. I have got a couple of patterns that are nearly finished that I really want to finish. But yeah, I'll be back very soon. For now, take care of yourselves, look after one another, and keep stitching. And yeah, have a little look at the Ukrainian freebie pattern that I've made, and if you want to check out the link that comes with that, that would be really amazing. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon again, I hope. Bye bye. Bye.